After a high fever from the flu, the boss took me home for physical cooling. The next morning, I came face to face with the boss's mom. "Here's 50 million, leave my son." Looking at the check the aunt slapped in front of me. Between work and sudden wealth, I decisively chose sudden wealth. Snuggling with the CEO and pocketing 50 million for free, too good a deal. I really didn't want to take leave, after all, the salary was decent. If I could, I'd live at the company. But after colleagues in the department caught the flu one after another, the manager secretly got a fever too. In the end, only I was left. Working overtime with pay was fine, but working sick while barely handling an entire department's workload? No, I was afraid I wouldn't live to spend the money. With a bright red face, I knocked on the boss's door. Turns out he was also hit but still at his post. This comparison made me seem unprofessional. Shen sat in his executive chair, radiating in keep-away aura. His long fingers drummed on the desk, frowning as if lost in thought. When he saw me enter, he slowly looked up. Deep, dark eyes, a high, sharp nose, slightly parted thin lips. Paired with that slightly flushed face, he was almost indistinguishable from those internet celebrities and stars. "Boss, if you're not in the next TV drama, I'm not watching. My biggest hobby is checking out handsome guys, especially untouchable beauties like this." Even though I was dizzy with fever and seeing double, it still couldn't stop my love for beauty. One who fails to reach the Great Wall is not a true man, one who fails to see a handsome guy truly regrets. Snapping back in 0.1 seconds, I cleared my flu-horse throat and croaked like a duck, "Mr. Shen, I'd like to take leave." Shen seemed to guess I was hit too, and asked hoarsely, "How high?" 165, weight 100, 25 years old, no partner, annual salary is. I stopped mid-sentence and abruptly shut my mouth. Oh no, I think I just recited that blind date spiel. Shen looked at me like I was an idiot. Days without work felt so good. If only Shen weren't by my side. I originally planned to take leave, buy a yellow peach can, do a mask physical cooling method, and enjoy the rare time off. But he insisted on going to the fever clinic too, saying he was afraid he might have a fever and wouldn't understand the doctor alone. Look at that high-sounding excuse. I wish I could break a headline about him tomorrow. Shocking, heartless boss won't let employee rest. Is this the loss of humanity or the decay of morality? The road to the hospital was still long, so I grabbed my phone to call my roommate to ask what meds we were missing at home. "Li Jinwan, you have a fever?" My friend's shocked voice came through the speaker, and I only then remembered the Bluetooth was on. Earlier, while accompanying Shen on business, I'd connected to the car audio to play music. Now the phone auto-connected. If I deliberately disconnected, it'd be awkward. I sneaked a glance at Shen, saw the corners of his mouth lifting, looking in a good mood. Knew it, I must have been laughed at by him. "Yes." I forced myself to reply, but before I could finish half the sentence, the voice on the other end cut me off again. "Stay at the company, whatever you do, don't come back." Well, that settled it, home was absolutely off limits. Hanging up, I sighed as I stared at the scenery outside the car. In this situation, I had nowhere to go but back to the company to find a spot to lie down. Home was unreachable, I was the chosen wage slave. After accompanying Shen to pick up his medicine, I hung my head low and was about to hail a taxi back to the office when he grabbed my arm. "Where are you staying?" My face was flushed, my steps unsteady, and after struggling for a moment, I managed to spit out 3 words, "Back to the company." Shen handsome brows knitted into a knot. "Come to my place, stop me?" Could this be the moment where the cold CEO falls for me? Well, I had looks, but no money. A million possibilities flashed through my mind, but Shen ruthlessly cut them short. "Don't overthink it. If an employee dies at the company, I'd be liable for compensation, got it?" I understood. I grinned at him, happier than a dog on a production team. As his diligent employee, the idea of a toad lusting after swan meat would never happen to me. In my current state, anyone willing to take me in was already a blessing. The warm air in the car made me drowsy, and before I knew it, we were at the entrance of the neighborhood. Money was nice. When the security guard saw him return, he immediately approached, but a look from Shinsinian stopped him from following us upstairs. The door is open, please enter. With the cold electronic voice, the door slowly swung open. As soon as I stepped inside, I was stunned by the sight, this penthouse. I gestured around, looking like a country bumpkin. Is this whole floor yours? Sure enough, Shinsinian gave me that look again, like I was an idiot, his handsome face slowly uttering a few words. Both floors, upstairs and down, are mine. Me. Jealousy had me twisted beyond recognition. At noon, I was still eating and drinking heartily, even arrogantly doing 2 sets of squats on Boss Shen's gym equipment. By evening, I was lying in bed, unable to move. Virus, I'm sorry, I underestimated you, not recognizing your power. I croaked like a hoarse duck, calling for the boss from the room, trying to get him to bring me some water. Boss. President Shen. Balwan.my throat, Balwan. Sure enough, you only get that feeling when your voice is truly raspy. No one responded, so I had to resort to remote control via my phone. Soon, Shinsinian stood before me. Sorry, I thought some big goose was honking. Thanks, Q. I gulped down hot water, then burst into a violent cough. Luckily, he was quick enough, gently patting my back to ease my breathing, or my throat would have been done for. Helping others is a virtue, good people have 8 kids in one go. Shinsinian suddenly looked at me, smiling enigmatically. Are you tired? I wasn't tired, I was in pain in every bone. My immune system and the virus were fighting inside me, the fever making my whole head foggy. I looked at Shinsinian. The white pajamas hung loosely on him, and I could vaguely glimpse his abs, with a few water droplets still hanging on them. I can't look anymore, not looking would be rude. Gulp, I swallowed my dignified drool. Sorry, Shinsinian, my brain is fried. He seemed to feel my gaze, coughed unnaturally, slowly pulled the clothes tighter, and looked at me like a maiden from an unwed noble family meeting a rogue. I'm done for. My lifelong reputation is ruined in an instant. I wailed inside, but my eyelids were fighting, and before I could tell him, I passed out like a dead pig. Such a huge pig trotter, and char siu bao, hot pot, grilled skewers, crawfish. All the food flew before my eyes, but I was pinned to the grass by a big brown bear. Then the bear turned into the boss's face, somehow pulling out a laptop and making me work overtime. Even in a dream I have to work overtime, this is too miserable. I groaned, suddenly realizing, a dream? A flash of white light, and the first thing in my sight was Shinsinian's big face. Wait. He was shirtless, lying on the bed, smiling lazily at me. At this moment, my leg was pressed on him, and my arm hugged him tight through the blanket. Help, what am I doing? Shinsinian was calm, his voice coming slowly. Still want to hug me? I fumbled to let go, reflexively dodged backward, missed and almost fell off. I quickly reached out and grabbed his arm, leaning forward, and ended up falling straight into his chest. I'm alive. I'm dead again. I couldn't make a sound, so I typed on my phone's memo to ask him. What did I do yesterday? You grabbed me and wouldn't let me go, said even viruses shake when they see a handsome guy. My hand typing trembled slightly. And then? Shinsinian didn't reply, eyes smiling, face full of words unspoken. No need to ask, I knew what he meant. A fever-brained employee slept holding her boss all night. If this gets out, I'll definitely be fired for stepping into the office with my left foot first. Suddenly I feel my life is full of gloom. After this incident, I had even less face to look at Shinsinian. But he was fine, somehow got a few colored buttons, each press a command. I want to eat. Shinsinian came in with bowls and chopsticks. I want water. A glass of water by the bed. I want to walk. Wait, why is this one here? I looked at the button, and something surfaced in my mind. My friend's dog had used this before. I looked at his gleeful face, thought a real man can bend and stretch. Then I viciously bit into a bun. Under Shinsenyan's care, on the 5th day I finally got better, but he fell ill. My cooking isn't great. I made some preserved egg and lean meat porridge, but Shinsenyan refused a single bite. I guess I had to use the trump card. Here comes the little flying stick. The spoon arced in my mouth, brought to his lips. Sure enough, his face darkened a bit more. I pretended not to feel the resentful gaze, staring straight at him, as if to say, if you don't drink, I won't leave. A bowl of porridge was swallowed by him in a few mouthfuls. TSK, man, playing hard to get. After drinking, Shinsenyan lay down to sleep, and I sat by the bedside watching over him, meanwhile fantasizing about this year's year-end bonus. Gotta say, this face is really handsome. No wonder the few girls in the department are all smitten by him. For a moment, bewitched, I couldn't help but reach out and lightly tap his face. Such good skin, and so bouncy. My gaze followed up his face, only to find that Shinsenyan had woken up at some point, his eyes quietly watching me. I jerked back instinctively. Nuan, don't mess around. His voice was low and a bit sexy, his face flushing unnaturally. Can you stay with me for a while? I was taken aback. Wasn't I just here with him all along? Shinsenyan struggled hard to free up half of the bed. You come up, I have no strength. My God, what kind of wild words are these? Maybe my smile was too obvious. He rolled his eyes at me again. With you by my side, I can call you anytime if something happens. Fine, given how uncomfortable he is, I carefully squeezed over. Heat radiated from his body, making me suspect he might be cooked alive by the fever. Won't die from fever, I'm tough. Shinsenyan's voice came from above my head, as he raised his arm and pulled me into his embrace, hanging on to me like a bear. His steady heartbeat sounded by my ear, and I felt my face flush red. What kind of new seduction tactic is this? I thought about pushing him away, but he held me tight. He's sick, delirious with fever. It's a win to have such a handsome face. I kept telling myself. Luckily, he made no other moves that night, and I also restrained my old pervy heart. Everything was peaceful. I woke up earlier than Shinsenyan. He slept like a log all night, and every time I moved to the edge of the bed, he'd pull me back. But at least his fever had gone down a bit. I quickly made a simple breakfast, and was about to sit down to rest when I heard a harsh doorbell ring. Opening the door, I locked eyes with a woman. Elegant and refined, with an air of nobility. I could even see the surprise and shock in her eyes. Who are you? The woman didn't give me a chance to answer. She walked straight to the main seat of the sofa and sat down, gesturing for me to sit opposite. If I'm not mistaken, this sharply featured woman must be Shinsenyan's mother. Tell me, how much do you want? The woman crossed her legs, her beautiful eyes scanning over me, making me feel uncomfortable. Hello, auntie, it's not what you think. 1 million. The woman scoffed lightly, and I nervously gulped. Wow, is this how all rich people are? Auntie, I'm here because of the body. 3 million. According to cheesy 8 o'clock drama plots, should I say next that love is priceless? Seeing me frozen, the woman waved her hand. 5 million. Deal. Afraid she might change her mind, I immediately opened the payment QR code. Looking at my account balance, I felt ecstatic and packed my belongings in no time. Passing by the kitchen, I saw the freshly cooked food and inexplicably thought of Shinsenyan's flushed face from last night. I briefly explained Shinsenyan's flu infection. Of course, you don't need to worry about such things. The woman pushed open the door, glanced at Shinsenyan still asleep, and slowly closed it. I'll find him the best doctor. With that said, there was no need to stay longer. I closed the door with a look of regret, but turned around and laughed out loud. 50 million, folks, I can completely coast now. Since I left, Shinsenyan hasn't contacted me. I asked a coworker and found out he had already gone back to work. Seizing this chance, I took my annual leave early and rented a new place. Every day, I drink tea and water flowers, enjoying a retired lifestyle. Just as I put the seafood I ordered into the pot, planning a big dinner, I heard a knock on the door. Only a few close coworkers knew this place, maybe they came after work? Without thinking much, I opened the door unexpectedly. It was Shen. He had probably been drinking, the air had a faint smell of alcohol. He looked at me silently, with no anger in his eyes. But inexplicably, I felt a bit panicked. Shen's presence was too strong. Even though he sat on the sofa without a word, it made me tense. I glanced at the clock, only 5 minutes had passed. So this is what it means for a day to feel like a year. Die anyway, no matter how. Steeling myself, I was about to say something harsh, but my legs went weak, and I sat down beside him. Boss, are you here for the 50 million? Shen didn't answer directly. His eyes scanned the room before finally landing on me. His face clearly said, pay the money. He placed an IOU on the coffee table. Debtor, Li Jinwan, creditor, Shen. The dense text in the middle made my head spin. Reading through it, only one piece of information stood out. Principal plus interest, total repayment of 60 million yuan. If I earned 10,000 a month, I'd need to work starting 500 years ago. Luckily, I hadn't spent it all, so I only needed to work from 300 years ago. Just 300 years, easy to say. Shen seemed to read my mind. He cleared his throat, looked at me with a half-smile, and snatched the IOU away. There's another way for you to repay the debt. I looked at him, puzzled. Marry me. I don't know how I was so muddle-headed as to agree to this. Nor do I know how I stole the household register and got the marriage certificate with him. When the clerk stamped it, I inexplicably felt a sense of finality. We had truly become husband and wife in name. Just yesterday, I thought I had to repay 60 million. And now, I've become his nominal wife. Life is full of ups and downs, then ups again. Shen showed little emotion. After registering my fingerprint into the lock, he returned to the office to handle work. I was left sitting there in a daze. Actually, the reason for getting married was simple. He had always gone against his foster mother since childhood, doing whatever she disliked. Rather than marrying some unseen business heiress, it was better to marry a subordinate like me, who was well-known, greedy, and lustful. The logic of the rich was so reasonable, even the description of me was spot on. I couldn't help but nod inwardly. I briefly reported it to my best friend, and as soon as the message was sent, I got her call the next second. Damn, you're already getting the certificate? Her voice was booming. What if one day he regrets it and divorces you? Then you'll be a second marriage woman. What's wrong with a second marriage? Why do new generation women care about this? I muttered to myself, but before I could say it, she asked me, Jiang Song is asking about you. Should I say you're married? Of course. That ex-boyfriend of mine, a real pain, had been clinging to me since the breakup, like a stubborn ghost. Now that I had the certificate, I could finally get rid of his harassment. The more I thought about it, the happier I got, humming a tune as I prepared dinner. Soon, the door lock clicked, and I saw Shen in a shirt and trousers, changing shoes at the entrance. As he bent down, the line of his collarbone was faintly visible through the shirt. Unaware of my gaze, he casually unbuttoned 2 more buttons. I could even hear myself swallowing. This certificate was totally worth it. After a quick meal, I got ready to wash up and sleep. After all, it was a marriage in name only, so Shen and I decided to sleep in separate rooms. My eyelids were heavy, and just as I was about to fall asleep, I felt the mattress sink, and a pair of warm arms wrapped around me tightly, the pleasant scent of sandalwood filling my nose. I was about to struggle when I heard a low grunt from beside me. Don't move, it's me. Weren't we supposed to keep our distance? Why was he here? Confused, I turned my head and met a pair of sparkling eyes. Shen wasn't like his usual company self. His slightly long hair was scattered across his forehead, and the moonlight happened to fall on his face, making him look soft and gentle. Fresh from a bath, his eyes were moist and misty, looking like he could be easily bullied. I wanted to ruffle him. I desperately restrained my hands. Knowing I couldn't stay calm with a handsome man beside me, I stopped looking into his eyes, closed mine, and stretched my legs. Playing dead, don't worry, I won't do anything to you. You don't need to be afraid, his voice sounded by my ear, the warm breath making my legs feel weak. No, you underestimate me. I'm afraid I'll do something to you. Shen seemed to be teasing me on purpose, blowing air on the back of my neck, making me shiver all over, wanting to turn over and pin him down. I could only hold back and not look at him. That night was long and hard to endure. When I woke up, Shen was already gone. I went to the kitchen and found the breakfast he had made. I never expected that boss Shen, not only accomplished at a young age, but also cooked so deliciously. Just as I was halfway through my meal, my phone buzzed wildly with messages from colleagues gossiping in the group chat, with a photo attached below. A man held up a banner reading, "Gold digger abandoned her long-term boyfriend for a higher status." Why does he look so familiar? I eagerly watched the drama, zooming in on the photo, and my bread dropped to the ground. Isn't this my cheating ex-boyfriend? No time to put on makeup, I got up and ran to the company gate. The other employees didn't know we were married. This commotion would spread and affect Shen. The angrier I got, the more I paid the driver double to speed to the company. Today I must destroy him. From afar, I saw a crowd of colleagues watching the fun, including some old rivals and unfamiliar new faces. Damn it, now I'll really become famous. I borrowed a megaphone from the breakfast stall next door, shouted at Jiang Song, calling him a cheating scumbag, and made my position clear, telling him not to make a scene. Though Jiang Song was short, his spirit didn't lose. You hooked up with a sugar daddy behind my back. Your grandma's head. I glanced around, everyone had a gossipy expression, looking at me with amusement. First, we broke up long ago. Second, after breaking up, who I'm with is none of your business. You are a gold digger. Jiang Song gritted his teeth, threw down the banner, and pointed at me, yelling, "If you're capable, call your sugar daddy out. Let me see who's better than me." I rolled my eyes at him. Jiang Song's salary wasn't low, he always thought highly of himself, believing I wasn't good enough for him, so he cheated. Though it wasn't work time yet, I wouldn't let Shen meet someone like him. Still thinking of how to get rid of him, I heard a clear, strong male voice coming through the crowd from afar. "I heard you called me?" In that moment, the surrounding noise faded, and I saw no one else. Shen crossed the layers of people, stood beside me, and we faced each other. For so many years, I had been my own support. But this time, someone stood firmly with me. "Quickly send the other colleagues away, say as the boss you require them to work." I leaned in and whispered to him, "Don't say anything else." Shen ignored me, directly pulling me into his arms. I could even hear gasps from the crowd. "It's over, office romance exposed. The sugar daddy is here, got a problem?" Jiang Song laughed loudly, pointing at us like a fool, but as he started to speak, Shen cut him off. "Are you from Xingshi Company?" Jiang Song hurriedly covered his badge, but it was too late. Shen made a quick phone call, his gaze deep as he looked at him, a faint smile on his lips. The next second, Jiang Song's phone rang, his face turned pale, and before he could answer, someone hung up. Shen looked innocent, saying the most scheming words with the most handsome face. "Forgot to mention, Xingshi is also my company." Without another glance at Jiang Song, he pulled me and turned back. Without turning back, I could hear his frantic shouting and couldn't help shaking my head inwardly. Why did you have to offend Shen of all people? In over 20 years of life, this was the first time I became the center of attention in a crowd. And as the wife of the Shen group's head. As if sensing something, I suddenly turned around and found all the gossipy gazes withdrawn, everyone silent. Do I have that kind of influence? Frowning, I looked back and saw Shen face, dark beyond measure, sweeping over them like a 1,000-year-old iceberg. No wonder, but I suppose this is borrowing power from others? At the thought, I couldn't help straightening my back and confidently followed him into the office. Shen sat beside me on the sofa, his expression still cold, somewhat intimidating. Was he still thinking about what Jiang Song said to him? I was pondering how to explain when I felt my hand being held. His palm was slightly cool. My dad wants us to go back for dinner. The news stunned me. We had just gotten the marriage certificate, and now the ugly daughter-in-law had to meet her in-laws. Would the upper-class dinner have many rules? If I made a mistake, wouldn't I embarrass him? Shen chuckled softly, holding my palm, then placed both hands gently on my shoulders. He bent slightly, his voice soft, carrying a calming power. Don't worry, I've got this. Leaving work 2 hours early, I put on simple makeup and changed into decent clothes, following Shen to the villa's entrance. The door slowly opened, and from a distance, I saw Old Master Shen seated at the head of the table, while his stepmother arranged dishes beside him. Her attire and demeanor exuded elegance. She must be from a noble family. Could she be Shen Xinyan's sister? I looked at him in confusion, only to find his expression even worse than I imagined. A girl in a long dress walked over with a graceful smile, extending her hand to Shen. Long time no see, fiancé. This was the most awkward meal I'd ever had in my life. Across from me was my husband's fiancée, and beside her was her godmother, my husband's stepmother. They talked about everything from piano and poetry to haute couture runway shows and luxury jewelry. Harmonious and cheerful, completely ignoring my existence. Everything was both reasonable and absurd. Luckily, no one called on me or Shen during the meal. As soon as we put down our chopsticks, we were each summoned away. Before leaving, I saw him make a gesture, call if anything comes up. Yan's footsteps were light, almost inaudible as she went upstairs. I followed behind her, feeling purified in body and mind by the beautiful woman. Though she was my rival, beauty appreciates beauty. Looks save the world, that saying doesn't lie. As soon as we entered the bedroom, Yan quickly locked the door, opened the window, and plopped down on the bay window, a completely different person from downstairs. She pulled out a cigarette from somewhere, lit it, exhaled deeply, and wore a satisfied smile. The whole sequence left me stunned. This little girl has 2 faces. You're Li Xinyuan, right? She smiled cheerfully, warmly inviting me to the bay window. Seeing that I didn't come over, she looked understanding. Don't worry, I'm not here to compete with you for brother Shen. Though we're engaged, I like someone else. Thanks to him getting married first, or I wouldn't know how to explain to the old man. But how did you manage to land this old ice cube? Yan winked at me, her face full of gossip. As far as I know, he's been single for years. Didn't expect you to be so impressive, getting the certificate directly, one step to the finish. I was speechless, never imagining his love history was so sparse. Was I just lucky? After a brief chat, I learned he hadn't had an easy life. For years, his father had placed high hopes on him. He had to handle work while rejecting various business marriages. Yan and I hit it off, and within a few exchanges, we added each other on social media. A knock came from the door, Shen Xinyan's, slightly impatient. Yan quickly stubbed out her cigarette, and I got up to open the door. You. Okay, Shen scrutinized me, concern clear in his eyes. He nodded at Yan, and after a quick goodbye to the family, we drove home. A day of socializing left me exhausted. When I opened my eyes again, I was already in bed, with the sound of water trickling from the bathroom. The scene outside was different from when we'd returned. Thunder and rain roared, punctuated by lightning flashes that split the night sky, carrying a strangely thrilling beauty. In the dim light, I watched the bathroom door open. Shen came out drying his hair with a towel. He paused when he saw me awake, then smiled apologetically. Sorry, did I wake you? I shook my head and grabbed the hairdryer. Under the lamp, our shadows stretched long, and when they overlapped, it really felt a bit like a newlywed couple. The cord was a bit short. As I switched hands, my left leg tripped, and I fell squarely onto Shinsenyan's lap. The position was awkward, and I blushed deeply. Just as I struggled to get up, he lifted me onto his lap, cupped my face, and kissed me. It was our first intimate contact beyond hugging. The atmosphere was sweet and ambiguous. It spiraled out of control. The next day, he surprisingly didn't go to the office. After that night, Shinsenyan seemed like a different person. Every time he came home from work, he'd bring me various bouquets, until the windowsill could barely hold them. The centerpiece, of course, was my favorite jasmine. Jasmine, wishing you never leave. His cooking was decent. Whenever he cooked, I'd grab the DV and pretend to film. You're now watching Shinsenyan's cooking channel. I raised a drink to interview him, watching his doting yet helpless face, and pinched the soft flesh at his waist, making him chuckle. Mr. Shen, what's the secret to cooking so well? Shinsenyan looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. He lifted me onto the counter, gently nibbling my earlobe, sending a tingle through me. Because my wife taught me well. Recently his stomach hasn't been great. To get him to eat a bit more, I've been cooking all sorts of cuisines almost daily. The past few days, I'd sent lunch via courier to his office. Today, I thought I'd surprise him. While the company was empty, I quietly took the elevator to his office door. I never expected to see two familiar figures, Shinsenyan and Yan. I wasn't surprised they were meeting alone. They'd had dealings before, and if there were some other matters, communication would be normal. But the scene before me wasn't like that. Yan was hugging Shinsenyan, her head resting on his chest, while he stood motionless with no intention of pushing her away. I couldn't hear what they were saying. A few seconds later, I saw Shinsenyan pull a small, exquisite box from inside his suit jacket. Light happened to reflect off its edge. The diamond ring was dazzling, offsetting Yan's charming smile. That moment stunned me. There was an indescribable feeling. I just felt my stomach churn, my eyes sting. Something seemed about to spill out, but I forced it back. I couldn't keep watching. I quietly placed the lunchbox on the desk and hurried out of the company before any other colleagues noticed. This period of time together had given me the illusion of romance. Fair enough. We were just taking what we needed from each other. I was just too greedy. Back in the room, I realized how terribly large it felt. Earlier, to avoid a business marriage, Shinsenyan had been forced to marry me. Now that Yan was back, whether in background or looks, everything was clear. Today's situation seemed to make sense. I just didn't understand. If so, was what she said to me in the bedroom that day just a setup? My phone buzzed with a message. I'm so hungry, Nguyen. What dishes did you make today? It was Shinsenyan. I replied briefly, telling him to come home early tonight. He agreed. I wasn't someone completely unreasonable. I believed Shinsenyan wouldn't lie. There must be some misunderstanding. Night fell. He still hadn't returned. As if driven, I inexplicably opened my WeChat moments and saw the photo Yan had posted. Someone is really putting in effort. Green grass paired with blue and white flowers looked fresh and charming. The man beside her was busy with something, not looking at the camera. But that silhouette was all too familiar. It was Shinsenyan. A message came in a few minutes late, popping up just then. Wife, company meeting. I'll be back later. I don't know how I packed my luggage. I took that jasmine pot, and after several moves, rented a small apartment. If my existence would hinder them in the future, it was better to exit early, so everyone could save face. During these days avoiding Shinsenyan, I looked up Yan's information online. She attended a prestigious foreign university and won several piano awards, a classic example of a wealthy, beautiful, and talented woman. In every aspect, she far exceeded me, so I didn't envy her. She and Shinsenyan were a perfect match. Every day, I numbed myself with this thought. My heart feels crumpled, hard to smooth out. In just 10 days of quiet passing, I hummed a tune, carrying a birthday cake upstairs. That face I'd longed for appeared right before me. Just as I turned to flee, he grabbed me, his strength pinning me still. That kid's been secretly lifting weights again. I smiled awkwardly, holding up the cake, signaling him to come in and eat. After all, he's still my husband in name, not great to leave him standing outside. Mainly, I really couldn't run. Your birthday isn't today, right? Shen wasn't polite, frowning at the cake. I stayed silent. It's not my birthday, but eating cake on this day every year has become my habit. Then he shifted focus, targeting me. Why aren't you replying to my messages? Because I set you on mute, duh. Shen suddenly stood, walked over. He didn't act like a stranger, opened the cake, took a big bite. Did you mute me? How does he know? I said I can read minds, believe me? I was stunned. Damn, all those mutterings of mine, he heard them? What's the difference from taking a dump in public, while I panicked? Shen smile widened. Just kidding. After checking with him repeatedly, I relaxed. Don't ask why I'd believe such nonsense. Shen presence makes you believe every word he says, but then I got mad. What's he doing here now, trying to win me back, treat me like a backup? I looked at him earnestly, choosing words carefully, scared he'd get mad and demand back the 50 million. Calmly, I stated the fact I wanted a divorce. Adding, wish you two a happy union. Who are you divorcing me with? Shen stared at me, coldness surfacing, then turning to confusion. Who do you wish me well with? You big jerk, playing dumb. If I didn't owe you money, I'd give you a couple of kicks. Since we're splitting, I'm not scared. I pointed at him, launching random attacks, recounting everything I saw that day. Watching Shen face go white to red to black, the satisfaction of angering him lifted my mood. That's it, what, really? Shen, with sudden strength, pulled me into his arms. I struggled in vain, stomped his foot. A sharp intake of breath above my head. But his grip didn't loosen. I'm similar in build to Yan's boyfriend. She hugged me to log measurements for a custom suit, giving him a surprise. That ring is one I had made. She wanted to see the craft and style for future wedding prep. With that, he pulled the ring from his suit pocket, and while I froze, slipped the diamond onto my ring finger. It's yours, Shen pointed at himself. Me too. This wasn't supposed to go this way. Before I could react, he bent down again, meeting my eyes. That lawn is rented. Lying about the meeting was wrong, but it was just to surprise you. Bombarded by this series of revelations, I'm a bit dazed, but all the info seems to hint. I don't have to repay that 50 million after all. Actually, I often wonder, with nothing to my name, why Shen likes me. Every time I ask, he pinches my nose and gives the most reasonable answer. Because you're greedy enough, and I happen to have money. I'm really speechless. The rich are so happy. I happily dragged my best friend shopping, splurging on 2 bags. But just as we exit the department store, I spot a familiar figure. I quickly put on sunglasses, turn around, and pull my friend upstairs. Whether it's him or not, better to flee first. No desire to keep strolling, we part ways in the parking lot. Just as I open the car door and sit in, a cold blade presses against my neck, startling me. Don't move. I curse his ancestors to his grandchildren mentally, roll my eyes, and ask, Jiang, what do you want? The pressure behind me doesn't let up, because my dad got fired and became a laughingstock. You owe me compensation, a good woman doesn't fight a bad man. I rattle off a bunch of empty promises, promising to transfer money right away if he lets me go. Jiang isn't so easily fooled, he makes me drive to an abandoned factory and even calls Shen. He demands person and money within 20 minutes, or else he'll kill the hostage. Soon, he appears before me. That suit and this rundown building just don't match. Jiang steps back, the dagger scraping my throat painfully, making me wince and gasp. Damn, what a human tragedy. I'll transfer the money now. Let her go, take the cash, leave, and we won't call the cops. Sweat drips from Shen Xinyan's forehead, his usually fair face slightly flushed, his eyes concerned as they look at me. Everything blurs, and I gaze back at him teary-eyed. Finally landing such a handsome, rich husband, and heaven lets me die young. How sad. You two bastards, with money you ignore others' lives. Don't us lower-class folks get to live, today you da-da. Before he finishes, a bullet hits his leg. Jiangsong's leg gives way, and he falls to his knees. Shen Xinyan rushes over, hugging me as I'm stunned. The knife tip instantly pierces his arm, a muffled groan. Just as I turn to look, big hands cover my eyes, plunging everything into darkness. Nuan, don't look. By the time we leave the hospital, it's dark. According to the secretary, Jiang Song confessed to all crimes. The car key was made earlier. Coincidentally spotting my back that day, he acted on impulse, bought a fruit knife at a nearby store, got to the underground garage early, and hid in the car waiting for me. Listening to the report, I glance at Shen Xinyan's face, darker than black. Drove, soon stopped. Door blushed, helped change pajamas, tidied house. But inconvenient. Turned, looked behind, reached help him bed, you patient, why follow? Shen looked, blinked, pointed arm, pain. Touch wound? Smiled, bent, head shoulder, you here, good. Nose tingled, disaster feeling hit, remembered him block knife, heart sour, tears fell. Thought just love, never expected, heard, Shen spoke, noticed you long ago. Puzzled, annual meeting, cosplayed gorilla. He smiled, beat chest, ran ground. Face red, funny, didn't expect, remembered, stop. Covered mouth, grabbed wrist, looked serious, no whim, planned. Couldn't find way tell, fear power. Dazed words. So good, love it. Lives, one meeting, intertwined dream. Saw Jiang Song knife, stood, couldn't run. Shen woke me, porridge tasteless, vegetables nauseous, ate little, threw. Held toilet, wretched, thought period not come, exchanged looks. Shen fast, grabbed keys, took downstairs. Green lights, no obstacles, soon hospital. Old doctor looked, stroked beard, smiled, congrats, parents. Shen held hand, mouth open, excited, asked precautions. But hearing advice, protect baby, avoid exercise, light died, snickered, car slow. Home, made pregnancy plan, handed work secretary, stayed home. Parents heard, transferred large sum, balance zeros, rest my family. But not told them married, now tell pregnancy, feared old couple hearts. Shen confident, set on him. Dunno how, next day mom call Nyan, told rest, no think, cash power great. Dazed, Shen doubt, hand head, laid down, felt bad, not yet. Gentle. Shen slur, kiss dizzy.